Hey folks, Mike Johnson here. If it's got wheels and an engine, you're in the right place. On this channel, we dive into car repairs, maintenance tips.
Fuel pressure is one of the most important factors affecting engine performance. The fuel rail pressure sensor is a device that monitors the fuel pressure inside the fuel rail. This information is transmitted to the powertrain control module, PCM, by means of a voltage signal. Fuel rail pressure data is one of the variables used by the PCM to calculate the amount of fuel to be supplied to the engine. If the PCM receives an abnormally high signal from the rail pressure sensor over a given period, fault code P0193 is activated. What does fault code P0193 mean? Code P0193 indicates a fuel rail pressure sensor a high circuit. This means that the powertrain control module, PCM, has detected that the signal from the fuel rail pressure sensor exceeds the pre-calibrated limit for a specified time. In simple terms, the fuel rail pressure sensor measures the fuel pressure in the fuel rail. If the signal from this sensor becomes abnormally high for an extended period, the PCM records code P0193. When working on solving this problem, it's useful to understand that in feedback systems, there is a target that the algorithm tries to maintain. If the actual sensor reading is above this target for too long, the error code is generated. It's important to note that the exact definition of fault code P0193 may vary depending on the vehicle manufacturer. For information specific to your vehicle, we recommend consulting the appropriate repair manual or repair database. What are the possible causes of code P0193? Fault code P0193 can be triggered by various causes related to the fuel rail pressure sensor and the fuel system. Here are some possible causes: faulty fuel rail pressure sensor. The sensor itself may be faulty, providing incorrect readings or inconsistent voltage signals. Problem in the fuel rail pressure sensor circuit. Electrical problems in the sensor circuit, such as loose connections, damaged wires, or connectivity problems, can lead to incorrect readings. The fuel rail pressure sensor signal is short-circuited with respect to voltage. A short circuit in the sensor's electrical system may cause a high fuel pressure reading. Fuel rail pressure sensor return circuit open. An open return circuit can also lead to pressure reading problems. Abnormal fuel pressure. Problems with fuel pressure, such as leaks or faulty pressure regulators, can influence sensor readings. PCM failure. In some cases, a failure of the powertrain control module, PCM, may be at the root of the problem. It's important to note that the exact causes may vary depending on the vehicle manufacturer and the specific fuel system in place. To accurately diagnose and resolve the problem, we recommend consulting vehicle repair manuals, wiring diagrams and, if necessary, calling in an automotive professional. What are the common symptoms of P0193? The P0193 fault code can manifest itself in a variety of symptoms, although these may vary depending on the vehicle and the specific context. Here are some common symptoms associated with P0193. A check engine light on. Most often, the first visible sign is the illumination of the check engine light on the dashboard. Reduced fuel consumption. A faulty fuel pressure sensor can lead to inadequate fuel management, which in turn can reduce the engine's fuel efficiency. Lack of power. Fuel pressure problems can affect engine performance, resulting in a noticeable lack of power. Hesitation or engine stalling at stops. Variations in fuel pressure can cause idling problems, leading to hesitation or even engine stalling at stops. Unusual smell of exhaust emissions. Combustion problems can lead to unusual exhaust emissions, sometimes accompanied by a peculiar odor. Fuel adjustment codes, such as P0172, fuel system too rich. Fuel pressure problems can lead to incorrect air-fuel mixture adjustments, causing codes related to excessive mixture richness. Vehicle emissions test failure. Variations in fuel pressure can cause emissions tests to fail during regulatory checks. In rare cases, no observable symptoms. Although less frequent, the vehicle may show no visible symptoms, but code P0193 may be recorded due to underlying problems. It's important to note that the presence of these symptoms can vary from vehicle to vehicle, and the best approach to diagnosing and resolving the problem is to carry out a thorough examination of the fuel system using appropriate diagnostic tools. How to diagnose P0193? Diagnosing the P0193 code requires a methodical approach. Here's a general procedure that can be followed, but it's important to note that specific details may vary depending on the vehicle. If you have no experience in auto mechanics, we recommend that you call in a professional for diagnosis and repair. Check engine light. Use an OBDI diagnostic tool to read code P0193 and check if the check engine light is on. Visual inspection. Visually inspect the fuel rail pressure sensor and its connections for signs of damage, loose wires, or other obvious problems. Check electrical connections. Ensure that all electrical connections to the fuel rail pressure sensor are secure. Look for damaged wires or loose connections. Check for fuel leaks. Inspect the fuel system for leaks. Abnormal fuel pressure may be caused by a leak. Test fuel rail pressure sensor. Use a multimeter to measure the voltage of the fuel rail pressure sensor. Compare the values obtained with the manufacturer's specifications. Resistance test. Measure the resistance of the sensor according to the manufacturer's specifications to check whether it is within the normal range. Fuel pressure test. Use a fuel pressure gauge to measure fuel rail pressure. Compare the results with the manufacturer's specifications. Advanced diagnostics. If the above steps do not resolve the problem, more advanced diagnostics may be required, such as checking electrical signals with an oscilloscope, checking the PCM, etc. Replacing the fuel rail pressure sensor. If the sensor is defective, replace it. Be sure to follow the manufacturer's recommendations for a soft iron seat to avoid leaks. It is strongly recommended that you consult the vehicle-specific repair manuals for detailed and specific instructions. If you're not comfortable with these procedures, it's best to leave the diagnosis and repair to an automotive professional. How to repair code P0193. Repairing the P0193 code may involve several steps, and it's crucial to follow a methodical process. However, note that specific details may vary depending on the vehicle. Here's a general procedure you can consider if you have a thorough knowledge of auto mechanics. A visual check. Visually inspect the fuel rail pressure sensor and connections for obvious signs of damage, loose wires, or any other obvious problems. Check electrical connections. Ensure that all electrical connections to the fuel rail pressure sensor are secure. Look for damaged wires or loose connections. Test fuel rail pressure sensor. Use a multimeter to measure the voltage of the fuel rail pressure sensor. Compare the values obtained with the manufacturer's specifications. Resistance test. Measure the resistance of the sensor according to the manufacturer's specifications to check whether it is within the normal range. Check for fuel leaks. Inspect the fuel system for leaks. Abnormal fuel pressure may be caused by a leak. Fuel pressure test. Use a fuel pressure gauge to measure fuel rail pressure. Compare the results with the manufacturer's specifications. Replacing the fuel rail pressure sensor. If the sensor is defective, replace it. Be sure to follow the manufacturer's recommendations for a soft iron seat to avoid leaks. P0191, fuel rail pressure sensor, A, operating range performance. This code is recorded when the operating range or performance of the fuel rail pressure sensor is outside expected limits. P0192, fuel rail pressure sensor, A, low voltage indicates that the fuel rail pressure sensor voltage is lower than the normal range. P0194, fuel rail pressure sensor, A, high voltage. This code is recorded when the voltage of the fuel rail pressure sensor is above the normal range. In conclusion, the fault code P0193 indicates that the distribution manifold pressure sensor is reporting an input value that is too high. This can lead to various performance issues in your vehicle, including reduced fuel efficiency and potential engine damage if not addressed. It's essential to diagnose the underlying cause, whether it's a faulty sensor, wiring issues, or a problem with the manifold itself. Regular maintenance and timely repairs can help ensure your vehicle runs smoothly and efficiently. Thank you for watching, and be sure to subscribe for more automotive insights.